2/22/2022. How's that for a cool date? Yeah, that doesn't happen very often. Anyway, tonight we'll be talking about so-called contradictions in the Bible. The question, is Easter a mistake in the King James Bible? All the rest of the Bibles call it Passover. Atheists love to pick on anything they can about the Bible. We're going to try to, one at a time, dismantle their ammunition. They'll come up with more. They'll never get them. But anyway, we're going to try. We believe God made everything in 6 days. Everything in 6 days. Okay, we have a debate coming up this Friday, and I have a radio interview or Skype interview with a rabbi this Thursday. Is that going to be live on our channel, do you know? Or
we can make it live if you want.
Let's check on that. Yeah, I think we should. Okay. So then a debate with Mark Drysdale the next March. I think there's 2 more I got to put in here. I forgot. They sent me the link today, and anyway, I like taking on the atheists. Tell them God's word is true. Already showed that picture. Petrified ladder. What did you find out about the petrified tank?
It's pretty much fully petrified.
World War II tank.
Yeah.
Buried in the mud. They say iron can't petrify. You might want to study that. Yeah. Anyway, we'll get more on that later. Okay. Still looking for 2 oxygen concentrators. Is that right, Damien, for the hyperbaric chamber?
Yes.
Okay. The chambers are up and running, ready to go. We just got to get the oxygen concentrator. Looking for a couple of small good gas mileage cars for some of the trips you make. Actually, several of the people that have worked here for sometimes a couple of years, we want to give them one as a present, as a thank you for, hey, God bless you. You've been a great blessing here. People come volunteer and donate their life and time to this place. So we want to help if we can. Okay, slide number 2547. It'll be relatively short tonight, unless somebody asks the right question that makes me go off on a rabbit trail. No. Isn't Easter an error in Acts chapter 12, verse 4? Shouldn't Pascha be translated Passover like every other version has? Well, let's look at it. Acts chapter 12, it says, now about that time, Herod the king stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church. And he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. This has been the history of humanity. They hate Christians. They still do. The atheists still do. They don't kill them now, but they would if they could. And because he saw it please the Jews, key phrase there, politician, you know. He saw that killing the Christians pleased the Jews. Oh, let's go kill more. He proceeded further to take Peter also. Then were the days of unleavened bread. Well, stay with me now. And when he'd apprehended him, that would be Peter, he put him in prison, and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers, 16 men, to keep him, intending, he must have been a dangerous preacher, 16 Roman soldiers to guard the guy, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. So the English Standard Version says, intending after the Passover to bring him out to the people. The non-inspired version says, intending after the Passover. After the Passover, after the Passover, after the Passover. Which one's right? Why does the King James say intending after Easter? Well, let's see. Best-selling version of the Bible is the New Revised Standard Version, is the most commonly preferred by Bible scholars. In the United States, 55% of the survey respondents who read the Bible reported using the King James Version in 2014, 19% by the NIV, and other versions less than 10%. Okay, so the NRSV, New Revised Standard Version, says, intending to bring him out to the people after the Passover. Which one's right? You critics that like to criticize the King James say, that King James got it wrong. All the other versions have Passover. Okay, let's see here. Here's where the Passover started. In Exodus chapter 12, the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month, we'll just call that April, because their calendar is not the same as ours, but close enough. We'll call it April. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. So their calendar year starts differently than ours. We start ours in January. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month, April, they shall take to them every man a lamb. So every family get a lamb ready. According to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house. So let's just call it April for sake of the discussion here. April 10th, everybody pick out a lamb. Okay? And if the household be too little for the lamb, it's interesting, the lamb's never too little for the household. The household might be too little for the lamb. Let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls, Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. I don't know how many people it takes to eat a lamb. Let's say it's 4, 5, 10. So if you don't have enough in your family, invite the neighbors over for lamb chops. Simple enough, okay? Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month, because they had to watch to see and make sure it didn't have any blemishes. Select the lamb, say this is the one, watch it for 4 days until the 14th. Make sure that it's a perfect lamb. The whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. So everybody, same time, sundown, everybody kills their lamb. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper doorpost of the houses wherein they shall eat it. So on the 10th, they pick the lamb. On the 14th, they're going to eat it, have the feast. By the way, Vincent, all of our critters up north, our lambs need to be, the wool needs to be shorn off. They're getting heavy. Do we have a way to do that?
Yeah, they need to be sheared.
Yeah, sheared. Okay. Swiss Army knife scissors won't do it, huh? No, okay. Anyway, get to sidetrack. So they're going to keep the lamb till the 14th. And ye shall eat the flesh in that night. What night? The 14th. Roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs shall they eat it. They shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden it all with water, but roast with fire, his head with his legs, and with the purtenance thereof. Ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire. And thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded. So you're going to have supper with your clothes on, and your shoes on, and your staff in your hand, ready to run. Because what ended up happening, this was the night when God finally convinced Pharaoh to let him go. And Pharaoh said, get them people out of my country now. And so they took off that night. And for the next 7 days, they had to eat unleavened bread because they were traveling. It wasn't time to let the bread yet rise. Okay? Let's see, your staff in your hand, you shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. There it is, Passover. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it with haste. It is the Lord's Passover. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. And this is when Pharaoh's own son died that night, and the oldest son in every house died. And finally Pharaoh said, get him out of here. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. Remember, they killed the lamb, take the blood, sprinkle it on the doorpost on the outside. Angel would pass over that house. And the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. Okay, that's where we get the word Passover. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial. Ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. And even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. So 10th they pick a lamb, 14th they kill it, put the blood on the doorpost, and the angel passed over them. For the next 7 days, they're running away from Pharaoh because he did change his mind. And 3 days later, it took them 3 days to catch him. They crossed the Gulf of Aqaba. We cover that later, not the Gulf of Suez. So for 7 days, they're running and eating unleavened bread. In the first day, there will be a holy convocation. In the 7th day, there shall be an holy convocation. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat. That only may be done to you. See, God is telling them, not only is this going to happen tonight, but you're going to remember this every year. This is your Passover celebration every year from now on. And they still do it, the Passover, okay? You shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this same day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. I want you to do this from now on, Moses. In the first month, the 14th day of the month at even, Ye shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even. 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, that means just yeast to make the bread right, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. Ye shall eat nothing leavened. In all your habitations shall ye eat unleavened bread. This is all symbolic of sin, how it gets in and it slowly creeps up and takes over everything. You put a little bit of yeast in a lump of bread, it'll spread out and take over the whole thing. And sin kind of does that. So that's all symbolic, different story there. In the 14th day of the first month is the Passover of the Lord, and the 15th day of this month is the feast. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Story in Numbers chapter 28, Exodus chapter 12, 2 Chronicles 30, Ezra chapter 6. Same story every time. Okay. Easter falls on the first Sunday after the full moon. You know why Easter changes every year? You got to wait till equinox when you have equal days, equal nights. That's usually about March 20th or March 21st. That has to do with the tilt of the earth as it goes around the sun, and the earth is round, and it does spin, and it does go around the sun. Tilted over 23.4 something degrees. And as we travel around the sun twice a year, we get to the place where the sun is directly over the equator. And everybody gets 12 hours darkness, 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of darkness. North Pole, South Pole, equator, everybody, 12 hours. So that happens twice a year as we go around the sun. Long story. Anyway, so you have to wait till that day, equinox, and then the next Sunday after the first full moon, after equinox. So it might happen all on the same day. It could happen on the 21st. Or you might have the equinox and have to wait 19, 20, 30, 25 days for the full moon, and then have to wait till Sunday. So the calendar, which is made up by the Catholics to celebrate Easter, is kind of crazy because it changes all the time. The date of the Paschal full moon used to determine the date of Easter is based on mathematical approximations following a 19-year cycle. Okay. So this year, April 17th is going to be Easter Sunday. Here's some points to ponder about Easter. The Passover was at night on the 14th day of April. The 7 days of unleavened bread always followed the Passover. The pagan festival of Ashtar or Ishtar or Easter, the pagan festival, was always held late in April to celebrate the earth regenerating itself. Hey, plants are growing again. That's why they use symbols like rabbits, Playboy bunny, eggs, the fertility symbols. They used fertility. It was a giant sex orgy is what it was. Ishtar, the goddess Ishtar. Easter was originally the celebration of Ishtar, the Assyrian and Babylonian goddess of fertility and sex. Her symbols, like the egg and bunny, were and still are fertility and sex symbols. Did you actually think eggs and bunnies had anything to do with resurrection? How many of you had Easter egg hunts when you were a kid at your church on Sunday? Yeah. It's a completely pagan holiday. Ishtar, Easter. The chief Babylonian and Assyrian goddess associated with love, fertility, and war. Okay. Is Easter a pagan festival? Well, it turns out Easter actually began as a pagan festival, celebrating spring in the northern hemisphere long before the advent of Christianity. In the first couple of centuries after Jesus' life, feast days in the new Christian church. Oh, now this ABC News got it wrong. This was the Catholic Church that started this because they didn't start till a few centuries after Christ. But the new Christian church were attached to old pagan festivals. That's right. The Catholic Church took a lot of old pagan festivals and tried to Christianize them. They picked Easter and said, oh, let's call that the resurrection of Christ. It got nothing to do with it, all right? What is the meaning of the name Ishtar? The mother goddess Ishtar, Ashtaroth, Ashtoreth, etc., was worshipped by the Assyrians and Babylonians as the goddess of love, war, justice, and fertility. So the 7 feast days are never called the Passover anywhere in Scripture. The Passover was one night and then 7 days of the feast. Peter was arrested during the days of unleavened bread, which means the Passover was gone. Think about it. Herod wanted to kill him during his own pagan festival of Easter coming up in a few days. King James is the only version to get it right. Only one. About that time, Herod the king stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church. And he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. And because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. Then were the days of unleavened bread. Well, when was Peter arrested? During the days of unleavened bread. Passover is gone. And when he apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter, nothing to do with Passover, to bring him forth to the people. The word Pascha, or Passover, was invented by a guy, you can read the story here about Tyndale. He invented the word, Pascha. He did not use the Pascha in Acts 12:4. He did his own translation of the Bible. As Thomas Holland demonstrated, the days of unleavened bread come after the Passover. One reason Tyndale did not employ the word that he invented in Acts 12. The second reason, of course, is because Herod was looking forward to the pagan festival of Ishtar, from which the word Easter is derived. And so Tyndale, who invented the word, did not use the word Passover in his own translation. So here we go. Okay. Article appeared in Trinitarian Bible Society Quarterly Record, said, we can read all that some other time. Okay, so here we got the Canadian calendar a couple of years ago. We have the Holy Thursday Passover, Good Friday Passover, Passover on Saturday, Easter Sunday, Easter Monday. Now, the Orthodox Easter is even a week later. Both of them got it wrong. Orthodox Easter and regular Easter, they're both pagan holidays, guys. Nothing to do with the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So the April 20th calendar I kept in here, I did this a couple of years ago. Jesus was crucified on Wednesday. Thursday was a Sabbath for the Passover. They had to rest. The day of preparation. Friday was the day of preparation for the Saturday Sabbath. They got another Sabbath coming up that week. So they had 2 Sabbaths and two days of rest in the same week. Women came to the tomb empty Sunday morning and found the tomb empty. Jesus was crucified on Wednesday, not Good Friday. You can't get 3 days and 3 nights between Friday and Sunday. In the grave 3 days and 3 nights. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday nights he was in the grave. Thursday, Friday, Saturday during the day, and he rose Saturday night. Because Sunday morning when they got there, he was gone. He was in the grave 3 days and 3 nights. Exactly like it says. So, no, I'm sorry. King James, the only one got it right. If you're going to study your Bible, get a real Bible.